In step 7, we'll import the regions standalone table and the states feature class into our Project Geo database. So first, we'll import the states as a feature class and the regions as a table into our Geo database. Then we'll configure the Explorer tool and view the attributes for one of our state features in a pop-up window. And last, we're going to create a relationship between the states and the demographics. The states are going to be the parent table and the demographics are going to be the child table. So we'll stack the parents states table view on top of the child demographics table view. Back in ArcGIS Pro, I'm going to close my demographics table and engineering views, activate the view ribbon, and click on catalog pane to reopen my catalog pane where I can find my geodatabase listed under databases and folders. And then I've got my source data, my states.shape file and my regions.csv that I'd like to import into my project file geodatabase. So I'm going to right click on my project file geodatabase and select import, feature classes. And in the feature class to geodatabase geoprocessing tool, my input features I'm going to set to states, and I can either click the browse button and browse to them, but I can just drag the states.shape from the catalog pane and drop it under input features as the parameter. My output geodatabase is already set to my project file geodatabase. Click run and close the geoprocessing tool. There you can see my states feature class listed in my project file geodatabase. I'm going to right click it again, select import and tables. This time in the table to geodatabase geoprocess, I'm going to drag my regions.csv and drop it as a parameter for the input table and click run. And close the table to geodatabase geoprocess. And there you can see in my project file geodatabase, my demographics and regions tables, as well as my states feature class. Now I want to add them to my map view and contents pane. So I'm going to right click the states and select add to current map. The demographics table is already added, but I need to add the regions standalone table. So I'm going to right click the regions standalone table and select add to current map. And then now in the map view, I want to go ahead and zoom in on the contiguous US, pan my map around. Now I'm going to activate the map ribbon. And under that, you'll find the Explore button. If I click the Explore dropdown, I want to make sure that it selected in contents is checked so that when I select, for example, the states feature layer and I click on Texas, it shows me the attribute values for the Texas feature in the pop-up window. And you can see there's some limited attributes, but it doesn't include any demographic attributes. That's why we're going to relate the demographics and the states tables. So go ahead and close the pop-up view. And now we want to open up our states and demographic table views. And I'm going to select the states feature layer in the contents pane. And then in the context sensitive data ribbon, under table, I'm going to click on attribute table to open up my states feature class attribute table. That has my limited attributes. And then select the demographic standalone table layer. And on the context sensitive standalone table ribbon in the table group, click on attribute table to open up my demographics table view. And I want to stack the states on top of the demographics table view. And I'm doing this because I'm going to have a relationship in which the states is the parent and the demographics is the child. So I'm visually stacking the states on top of the demographics table views before I set up my relationship. All right, go ahead and reset the interface, save your ArcGIS Pro project. Now we're ready to relate our data. In step 8, we'll perform a join and then a relate, and we'll compare the differences between a join and relate. First, we'll add a join between the states and the demographics on the name fields. Then we'll view the join table and pop-up values. Once we're done viewing the values, we'll remove all joins and add a relate. We'll view the related values and how they differ between a join and a relate, and then we'll remove all relates. Back in ArcGIS Pro, in the previous step, we stacked the states table view on top of the demographics table view. That's because we're going to join the demographic attribute values in fields to the states attribute value in fields. We're going to do that using a join, and a join requires you to have a field with common values, and it looks like we can use the object ID, but there's a problem with the object ID. One, we never use the object ID because it's a system ID. And two, look, object ID 1 is Washington in one table and Alabama in another. So that's not going to work. We never use the system ID on which to construct a join or a relate. So we need to find a field which has similar values that we can use to create the relationship. And in this case, it looks like it's going to be the state name and the name field, because the values can be used to create a relationship from the demographics to the states table. All right, so in the contents pane, I'm going to select the states feature layer and activate the context sensitive data ribbon. And then under the relationship group, I'll locate the joins drop-down button, select that, and select add join. That opens up the Add Join GeoProcess, where I'll set my input table to states, my input field I'll set to state name. My join table is going to be demographics, and my join field is going to be name. I want to keep all input records except the remaining defaults. And then optionally, I can click on Validate Join, and that validates the join to see if it'll work or not. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see it says a 1-to-1 join has matched 50 records. So 50 records in the parent table were matched to 50 records in the child table. Go ahead and close the message and click OK to create the join. And you can see the demographic attribute values have been added to the states table view. And if I select the states feature layer and click on Texas, you can see in the pop-up window, not only can I see the states attribute values, but I can see the demographic attribute values for Texas as well. Go ahead and close the pop-up window. Now, if your table join didn't work and the attribute values are not visible, you may have to activate the analysis ribbon and click on the tools button under the geoprocessing group. And in the geoprocessing pane, search for a tool called Remove Attribute Index. And then go ahead and click on the item to open up the tool and set the input table to demographics. And then any attribute indexes, you need to make sure they're listed there, and then go ahead and click Run to remove them. Now, I don't have any because my join was successful, so I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and close the tool without running it. And then in the contents pane, select the states feature layer, and on the data ribbon under joins, I'm going to select remove all joins. And in the window it says, are you sure you want to remove all joins? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And that removes the demographics attribute values from the table view and the pop-up window. So I successfully removed the join. Now, back on the data ribbon under relates, I want to click Add Relate. That's going to open up the Add Relate geoprocessing tool, where I'm going to set the layer name to states, the input relate field to state name, the relate table to demographics, the output relate field to name. Go ahead and leave the relate name set to relate 1, but change the cardinality to 1-to-1. And the reason is because there's 50 records in the parent and 50 records in the child. So 1 record in the parent relates to 1 record in the child. Go ahead and click OK to create the relate. And you can see it's different than a join, where we don't see the related records in the parent view. And if I click on the pop-up, you'll see that although the related demographic records are not visible in the pop-up window, I can drill down from the states Texas record to the related Texas record in the demographics table. Select that and view the related demographics attribute values. So relates work a little bit differently than joins. I prefer joins if I can, but sometimes you need to actually do a relate. Now, before we proceed, I want to remove all relates. Go ahead and click yes. And then click on Texas, and you can see that I can no longer explore the related records because the relate no longer exists. All right, go ahead and reset the interface by closing the table and demographics views, activating the map ribbon, and saving your ArcGIS Pro project. Now, joins and relates are sometimes referred to as temporary relationships because they're saved in an ArcGIS Pro project file. But sometimes we want to create a more persistent relationship, and we can create a relationship class geodatabase object that's saved with the data it's relating within the geodatabase. So in step 9, we'll create relationship classes. First, we'll create a one-to-one relationship class between the states and demographics table, where the states will be set as the parent table and the demographics as the child table. And then we'll create a second one-to-many relationship class between the demographics and the regions tables, where the demographics will be set as the parent table and the regions as the child table. Last, we'll open the states, demographics, and regions table views and stack them horizontally in anticipation of executing our final step in this demonstration. All right, back in ArcGIS Pro, in the Catalog pane, I'm going to right-click on the project file geodatabase and select New and Relationship Class. That opens the Create Relationship Class geoprocess, where I'm going to set the origin or parent table by selecting the drop-down. And any layers that are present in the Contents pane are what are present in the drop-down. And I'm going to select States as our origin table. For our destination child table, I'm going to select Demographics. Go ahead and leave the states_demographics default relationship class name. I'm also going to accept all the rest of the remaining default parameters, including my cardinality, which needs to be set to 1-to-1. And then I'm going to update my origin, primary, and foreign key. So my origin primary key for my parent table, states, is state_name. And my origin foreign key for my demographics child table is name. Go ahead and click Run. And that creates our states_demographics relationship class. Close the geoprocessing tool, and then right-click on the project file geodatabase and select New and Relationship Class to create our second relationship class. This time between our origin parent table is going to be demographics, and our destination child table is going to be regions. Go ahead and accept all of the remaining default parameters, except we'll switch the cardinality from 1-to-1 to 1-to-many, and set the origin primary key to region sub, the origin foreign key to region sub. Confirm all my parameters are set correctly and click Run. And that creates my demographics_regions relationship class. Go ahead and close the geoprocessing tool. Now that we've created the relationship classes, we're going to prepare for our final step in this demonstration by arranging the table views. So from the Contents pane, I'm going to open up the States table view. And I'll open up the Demographics and Regions table views as well. I want to arrange the table views and stack them horizontally. And so I'm going to drag the states and dock it all the way to the right and drag the demographics table view and dock it in the middle. So now my tables are arranged from left to right: regions, demographics, and states table views. I'm going to spend just a second to reconfigure the table views so I can see some of the key fields. Go ahead and close the catalog pane. Reset my map interface and save my ArcGIS Pro project. Now I'm ready to perform my final step of the demonstration. In step 10, we'll test our relationship classes by performing a select by attributes to query our related records. First, we'll use the select by attributes tool to select attributes in the regions table where region is equal to south. Next, we'll select the related data in the demographic table. And last, we'll select the related data in the states table and feature layer. So back in ArcGIS Pro, we're going to select records in our regions table, and then the related records in our demographics and states table, as well as our related features in the map. So go ahead and activate the regions table, and on the map ribbon, under the selection group, click on Select by Attributes. That opens up the Select by Attributes geoprocess. We'll set the input rows as regions, the selection type to new selection, and for the expression, we'll set it as where region is equal to south. Check your parameters and then go ahead and click OK to execute the query. And there you can see it selected 3 records in the regions table where the region field equals south. Now I'm going to select the related records in the demographics table. So I'm going to click on the context sensitive table ribbon, make sure my regions table view is active, and then under the relationship group, click on the related data dropdown and select demographics to push my selection to the related records in the demographics table. You can see it selected 16 records. And if I switch the view from show selected records to show all records, you can see it's selected records where the region sub is in the south region. Now with the demographics table view active, I'm going to go back to related data and push the selection all the way to the states table. And that selects 16 records in the states table view, and select the related table records and map features that are in the south region. All right, that demonstrates how we can create persistent relationship classes and select related records. All right, go ahead and save your ArcGIS Pro project. This concludes the demonstration.